Alright, today is May 31st, 2019. We've just had a flood a week ago, and the water's finally receded enough I can come down here. And the only thing I had planted for a few months here was in all this turned over earth you can see. I had potatoes, probably about 20 potato plants growing along here, and the boar came in and ate them all, and so I don't know if they got them before or after the flood, doesn't matter, but they really tore a hunk out of my garden, so I'll have to repair that. I'm far behind. April was too opportunistic for other activities, and I always thought, oh, I can just do it in May. May was rainy all the time, and the flood came and just receded a few days ago. Other than that, I was surprised there's not a lot of big logs and stuff deposited in here. It looks like the flood ate the top off of the other mound. I did plant some potatoes there as well. Let's go look at that. And I had a few pumpkin seeds planted. I dug up just the one side and put it back up on top, but it looks like the flood has undone all of my work. So I have a lot of stuff to clear out if I get around to it. Man, it's almost like there wasn't ever any dirt up there. So, looking around carefully here. Lots of thistles. Yeah, so the flood just made all the earth sink back into the logs, and there's nothing covering the top anymore. So I had potatoes about here. I don't see a single potato plant. I don't know why. And I had pumpkins in here, but the 5, 6, maybe 8 inches of soil has dissolved. So nothing that I planted up high is here anymore, and it's kind of disappointing. But you can see all the dirt and the line where the height of the water was, and it was above the top of the dirt on my mound. So, oh, it didn't float that log. That's good. I have plans for that one in the future. I wanted to get somebody to help me move it on top of this. So it looks like I'm abandoning River Mound for this season, because I don't have a whole lot of time to get out here as it is. And if I do anything today, it'll be trying to hoe a bunch of weeds off of this and do a quick repair, plant some pumpkins and go, because I have to work in a few hours. So anyway, this is the state of the garden now. It's a big mess, of course, as it always is. And when you don't get out here enough to work, you can't keep ahead of the weeds. So I'll try to get to work here and do something on this front face as much as I can. Look at all the sunlight that's back there now. When these trees were still standing, there was never sunlight right there. So I think I'm going to take advantage of that and try to start planting pumpkins maybe from the tree over and around. So we'll get that going as soon as possible. Alright, so I made one pass, knocked down a lot of weeds just a bit, and I made a trench here on the top. I did not repair the gap, and I decided not to plant across the path because the boar is still going to be coming through here. So there's my first row, planting on 3 rows. I have some fresh market pumpkins, and I have about double the amount of my own dried, and then some frozen ones that I have sitting up there in the sun. And I don't think they're going to defrost enough for me to do anything with them today, so I don't know what to do. Might just bury them in a couple mounds, see which ones survive, but I don't know if they'll be defrosted enough to spread out. Anyway, I'm going to fill this in and do it again and again. I'll probably only show you the result in the end. Alright, so that bag of pumpkin seeds was enough to do 3 rows all the way around. I did 1 row of summer squash here, and with the idea that it could grow up into the tree, I could hang strings or something. A lower row of golden beets. You can see there's a snail waiting to eat them as soon as they grow. I'll put you over here. Anyway, so there are, let me see, 1, 2, 3 rows going around of pumpkin seeds. You can see as I go around here. And have 3 little terraces. I packed it down so the pheasants would be less likely to dig it out. It's pretty mucky, so hopefully they'll sprout before the pheasants can sniff them out. And here I have 3 rows of yellow sweet corn, and I planted it pretty close together. There's probably 100 seeds in those 3 rows, so it's going to be packed. We'll see what survives from the slugs. That's all the time I have for today, but that's a lot of work. I did it only for 1 hour. It's now 11 o'clock. I started about 10:06, and I have to go to work. So that's all the time I have today, and might be all the time I have in a while. So at least I got the beginnings of my pumpkin patch going. Hopefully it's early enough they can still grow this year. Hopefully they'll get lots of sun. Anyway, I feel pretty good about this after the devastating little flood I had. I did see some little potato plants, and I kind of killed a couple. I don't know if they would survive the flood anyway. They were barely alive, so they're there. They're just not very big, and I chopped a couple of them up making those trenches because I didn't expect that any survived the boar turning the earth over, but there were a few. Anyway, got a lot of work to do here. I'd like to clear this out and clean off the rest of the mound and hoe all the way around inside and out and keep it weeded. It's impossible to keep it weeded though. It needs a cover crop of some sort, and these stinging nettles seem to do the job, but it makes it a heck of a hard time growing anything on it because the stinging nettle grows so fast. Anyway, come back next time, clean up more, maybe plant a few more things. That is all for today, the 31st of May, the last day of May. One more thing. I got an outbreak of these worms on this tree. They've completely covered the tree. I mean, it is covered, and they haven't eaten just the top leaves here. But they've completely covered it with silk. Every bit of it crawling around. And look at this mess of worms down here. So a huge outbreak of whatever these grubs are. They've even covered up snails, and the snails probably died because they couldn't get out. Just a huge outbreak of nasty worms. Look at that. So this tree might die. Look at all that. They did all that. Eaten everything out to the tips. Millions and millions of nasty worms. Anyway. Okay, well, there's the mound back over there. Gotta go.